Welcome, everybody. It is Monday Motivation, a very special day today. Let's talk NCLEX. We have it all for you right here, right now. Hey, if this is your first time joining us, I'm so excited that you're here. My name is Regina MSN, and I am the #1 NCLEX instructor on this planet. I have the #1 students here at Remar Review. We do this every week. We get together. We take time out of our busy days to study for NCLEX. You're going to love it. Our topic for today is medical surgical nursing care. So I have 5 NCLEX style questions for you to demonstrate your competency. Also, we can't forget the motivation. Our motivational topic today is don't fall into the hole again. That is going to speak to somebody today. Hey, if you don't have my book, Quick Facts for NCLEX, what are you waiting for? It's the 5-star version. Every nursing student should own this book. It has that content, the questions, everything you need to do amazingly well in nursing school and while you prepare for NCLEX. Put hearts on the screen if you love quick facts. Also, the virtual trainer has been changing lives. And when I say changing lives, I'm just talking about passing NCLEX. I got this testimonial from Nurse Gloria. She says, by the grace of God Almighty, I passed my NCLEX first try on 2/11/20 with 76 questions. But it gets better. I'm an international graduate, been out of school for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, but over a decade, 11 years. Guys, Remar is the deal. You all need the VT. Thank you so much, Miss Regina. I love testimonials like that. Motivation 101 right here. Sylvia says, I got my VT yesterday and I just couldn't put it down. I love it. And this is so amazing for me because we just launched the VT in November and already we have 4,000 Remar nurses studying for NCLEX together, doing the homework, doing the practice exams, posting in the discussion board. So amazing. Virtual trainer. But I know when we did the sale, there were some people who could not get the sale price of the virtual trainer. It broke my heart. Got a post that says, hello, Regina. I would love the virtual, but unfortunate, I won't meet the deadline for the 14th. Is there an exception for month end? Financially unstable. Got another post today that really changed our minds about ending the sale. Brittany says, can't buy until tax check comes. People are still waiting for that tax check. So guess it's a no-go again. But hey, guess what? I got your back, guys. I got your back. And if you think about, let me just say this. If you think about the virtual trainer price and you look at all the other reviews, just think about what you get with the VT and then compare it to other reviews out there, the pricing of it. I mean, Hearst, if you're looking at Hearst, you get these options. It's $249 right now. For the Hearst Now plan. Also, you guys know Kaplan, price is really high, $399. But you got to think about what you get. UWorld, hey, you want those questions? You're going to pay for them. $199 for the questions only. No lecture, no homework, just questions. And then you got to put resources together. So if you combine them, you're running up to $600 for your NCLEX reviews. I mean, that is a car payment, a mortgage payment, cell phone bill, going out to the movies 2 or 3 times. And so, here at Remar, we put together this comprehensive program for you guys. Questions, homework, lectures, before the books arrive, closed captioning, English, Spanish, whatever you want it. $369, everything you need to pass NCLEX. But because we want to be such a blessing, we have actually lowered the price for you. Right now, virtual trainer is still $169, literally, guys. I put this on here. I put the virtual trainer price on here for you because I want you to understand that anything that you do when it comes to studying for NCLEX will be an investment. And the idea is that what you invest in comes back to you as a fruit that you can reap, right? And so we've seen it with the virtual trainer where people are getting it and they're passing. And so we're just asking that you guys see yourself as an investment. And there's many products that you could purchase. There are many NCLEX reviews out there, but I'm telling you, none is like the virtual trainer. And so we here as a community just want to make sure that at end of the day, you guys get what you need to pass NCLEX. And so I have something else for you that's going to help you pass. It's these NCLEX questions. Let's get to it. Our first question simply says this. All right. The unlicensed assistive personnel tells the nurse the client who is 5 hours post-operative for an L3, L4 laminectomy is complaining of feeling numbness in both feet. Which intervention should the nurse implement? Is it number 1, ask the UAP to take the client's vital signs? 2, request the UAP to log roll the client? 3, contact the healthcare provider immediately? Or 4, speak to the client and complete a neurovascular assessment? Oh, here we go, guys. This is nursing care, all right? And I'm not going to talk too much because I always end up giving you guys the answer the longer I talk about it. So I'm just going to simply say, this is a scenario. Unlicensed assistive personnel comes to the nurse and says, hey, you know the client who had the laminectomy? Well, now they're complaining of feeling numbness in both of the feet. So which intervention should the nurse implement? All right. What do you guys say? Go ahead, put your answers down, smash that share button. We want all of our nursing friends to know that we are studying for NCLEX right now. There's no excuse not to be studying because we're doing it together. Everybody is stopping the day to get this done. All right. You guys will be happy to know that the best thing for the nurse to do is simply going to be this, okay? And that is doing an assessment, all right? How important is that as part of the nursing process? If my nurse's aide comes to me and say, you know what, Mr. Jones has a really high blood pressure. Do I just go call the doctor? Because a lot of people pick 3, I know. Do I just go and call the doctor and say, you know, the nurse's aide said that Mr. Jones has a high blood pressure, so I'm just calling to let you know that it's high? No. The doctor's going to say, well, what did you assess? What did you evaluate? What is his blood pressure? What did you find it to be? And so this is the same thing here. If you get information from somebody without a license, you better follow up on that license, okay? You better follow up on that information, I should say, because you could call the doctor and then you go back in the patient's room and say, hey, did you say, you had numbness in your feet? The patient can say, no, all I wanted them to do was take my socks off. That's it, And so we never want to put ourselves in those type of situations, guys. We want to make sure that listen, no matter what the doctor says to you, no matter how ridiculous or whatever misinformation you get from other people, remember, as the nurse, the stuff that comes out of your mouth, you want to make sure that it is always the truth. You want to make sure that it is always based on facts. We get into so much trouble as nurses. I learned this lesson the hard way as a new nurse, just taking other people's word for things and just somebody saying something to you. And so you repeat it back and you say it like it's truth, but you really have no idea. This is how nurses get in trouble. This is how we really don't take authority over our patients. Like, you can get a report from a patient. You get a report about a patient from a nurse, and the nurse will say, Mr. Smith is so difficult. He wouldn't get up out of bed. He would not turn. He would not do anything. And so, we take on that mindset, and when we give a report, we say, Mr. Smith is a difficult patient. We start using those things to characterize our patients, and It could not be that at all. Mr. Smith could just really have lost his wife. Mr. Smith, I remember I got a report, and now I'm just going to get back to it really quickly. I got a report from a patient, about a patient, and the nurse said that the patient wouldn't get out of bed for her. And then I went into the patient's room. He had no legs. He had no legs. And she didn't even, think to assess the reason why he wouldn't get out of bed. So all I'm saying is, guys, if we are going to be able to speak intelligently about a patient's condition, make sure that you have indeed assessed that patient. Okay. All right. We're moving on. Let's go to our next question right here. A little preview for you guys. All right. Here it is. Question number 2. The ICU charge nurse must request a transfer of one client from the ICU to the surgical unit to make room for the client coming into the ICU from the emergency department. Okay, you guys following me here? Which client should the ICU charge nurse request to transfer to the surgical unit? All right, so we have to make room for a new patient. So that means that somebody has to go. All right, so who has to go here? Is it number 1, the client diagnosed with flailed chest who has just come from the operating room with a right side chest tube? 2, the client diagnosed with acute diverticulitis who is 1 day post-operative for creation of a sigmoid colostomy. 3, the client who is 1 day post-operative for total hip replacement whose incisional dressing is dry and intact. Or 4, the client who is 2 days post-operative for repair of a fractured femur who has a fat embolism. Okay, how do we do this question? What are we looking for here? And I have a really great way that I look at these questions, but I want to make sure that you guys are able to look at it without me coaching you, and tell me who should be moved to the surgical care unit, who is no longer in need of intensive care. And it's so tough here. Are we looking at it by time? Who had their surgery, who had their surgery the most advanced, far out? Like, are we looking at post-operative days? Are we looking at diagnoses? What are we looking at here? Okay, I hope that everybody picked number 3. Yes. And so whenever I get questions like this, I really look at the surgery that was performed. And so I'm looking for elective surgeries, because typically patients who are getting elective surgery, what's an elective surgery? Like when somebody has, what do you guys think? What does like an elective surgery mean? An elective surgery is the idea that it's optional. You don't have to get this done. You can continue the treatment that you're on. Like, for example, so our client here has getting a hip replacement. All right, there's a lot of people that need hip replacements that honestly can't afford them. And so what do? They continue on with pain medications, right? So this client is getting an elective procedure done, which means that wholly they are stable, right? And their assessment is expected. There's nothing going on with them assessment-wise that requires the intensive care unit. So they definitely could go to the surgical unit, because what do you need after a hip replacement? Well, you're going to need pain medicine for sure, but you're also going to need your physical therapy. You got to walk, you got to get that hip going, you're going to need rest. And so this is the most important patient. Let's look at the other ones. Number 1, you got a patient with a respiratory condition, right? So they have a chest tube, and the patient, they just came from the operating room. Do we want to transfer this patient to the surgical unit? No, we want to keep this patient in the intensive care unit with a flail chest, all right? And then 2, some people probably picked 2 for sure because you thought, a colostomy, not too bad. But remember, when you have somebody that gets a newly placed colostomy, what are they going to be, what is going to be imbalanced? What is going to be imbalanced because the nutrition is no longer going through the digestional tract that is normal, all right? It's going to be coming out of an opening, a surgical opening. What do those patients tend to lose a lot of? What do they tend to lose a lot of? Everybody should be saying they tend to lose a lot of fluid. Oh my goodness, fluid imbalance, dehydration, that's pretty serious. So like somebody with diarrhea doesn't sound very serious, but for NCLEX, it actually is, because if you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, water is one of the biggest principles to you being alive. And so somebody with a new colostomy, right, they're going to be at risk for huge fluid shifts, a lot of fluid loss. So we want to keep this patient in the ICU for sure, all right? And then the last patient has a fat embolism, right, who had a fat embolism. So this, if you're not familiar with the fat embolism, this is highly critical. This patient is highly acute, and definitely somebody that needs to stick around in the ICU. How'd you guys do with that? All right, so I am here with you guys. We are trying to make sense of what our priorities are. How do we look at these NCLEX questions? Because end of the day, when you take NCLEX, you take it alone. And so all you have is your knowledge to fall back on. And so it could be quite intimidating. It could be quite intimidating unless you studied with Remar, all right? So here we go. We're gonna do it again. We have our next question here, and it says this. It says this: an earthquake causes the electricity to go out in the hospital, and the emergency generator lights come on. Which action should the charge nurse implement? Okay, you know the situation. We have an internal disaster here. So number 1, request all family members to leave the hospital as soon as possible. 2, instruct the staff to plug critical electrical equipment into the red outlets. 3, have the unlicensed assistive personnel place a portable flashlight on each bedside table. Or 4, contact the maintenance department to determine how long the electricity will be out. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. I call this an internal disaster because all of the patients are indeed inside of the facility, and we have to do something outside of normal care. What has to be done? Okay, in this situation, the generators are on. Are we indeed getting those flashlights to make sure that everybody is safe? Are we telling the family members, you guys need to go because we don't have enough energy? We don't have enough energy for everybody. Visitors might want the TVs on and stuff like that. You guys have to go, all right? Or do we call maintenance and say, hey, can you give us an update? We need to know how long is this going to be? How long is electricity going to be out? You guys have a time to put it on. Or are we trying to find red outlets and plugging stuff into the red outlets, the yellow outlets, the blue outlets? What are we doing? The white outlets? Tell me, guys, what are you thinking is supposed to happen here? All right. And I really stumped you guys today. I really wanted you to be like, what is Regina talking about today? So the correct answer, I'll just show it to you guys. I hope everybody picked the red outlets. Remember, the red outlets are super important. during an emergency, because those are in fact the red outlets. They are in fact connected to generators. So it's important for any ventilators, IV pumps, all of these treatment things that require electricity to be plugged into the red outlets. That is the priority of the nurse. We're not going to tell the patient's family, scram, and they can stay, that's fine. I assure you, the hospitals don't have enough portable flashlights for everybody to have one. And it sounds good, it looks good, right? You want to think if the lights are out, we need flashlights, but that's definitely not going to be the priority. The hospitals, they don't have all those flashlights for the patients and the family, all right? And then calling the maintenance department. Remember, we have patients that need care. And so if we're calling the maintenance department, everybody's calling the maintenance department, more than likely it was an earthquake. The maintenance people, they really don't know. So in the exam, guys, remember, what is the priority? It's client safety. It's client safety. We got to keep our patients safe. We have to keep them safe, guys. Okay, so here we go. Let's do the next one. It says this. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can all see it. All right. It says this here. Oh, this is good. All right. So you have a doctor and he is yelling at the nurse, right? Because he didn't get the laboratory values. He wants the current laboratory values and he's yelling at the nurse. All right. Which is the most appropriate action by the charge nurse? What is the most appropriate action by the charge nurse? Is it going to be number one, contact the laboratory to actually ask them what are the results, get those results? Is it two, tell the healthcare provider, contact the laboratory, give the healthcare provider the information to contact the laboratory directly because they want to know, all right? Three, report this bad behavior to the chief nursing officer, all right? Or is it four, tell the healthcare provider to come step into the nurse's office, all right? What do you do here when you have allowed a belligerent doctor who is upset because he doesn't have the information that he requires to make treatment decisions, right? And ultimately, you guys know everything falls on the nurse. So how should the charge nurse handle it here? What do you guys think? You have somebody yelling, you have somebody upset, what? What's the most professional thing to do? Is it can you honestly just say, you know what? I'm going to report your behavior to the chief nursing officer. I'm going to report you. All right. What's the most appropriate thing in this situation for that charge nurse? Remember, it's not the nurse, it's the charge nurse. What's the most important thing, the most appropriate thing? All right. The correct answer, guys, is this. It is yes. We are going to ask that doctor, step into the office. All right. And the reason why is because when you have a colleague or another healthcare professional and they're in a public environment and they're making a scene and they're yelling, the best thing to do is take them out of the public view and put them into a private area, okay? Because this shines a bad light on everybody. The charge nurse does not need to hear, the visitors saying that they were afraid because the doctor was yelling. The nurses are upset, so you want to try to contain, minimize the damage here that this doctor is doing. And so you say, hey, doctor, can we come into here and we kind of figure out what we need to get done, what we need to happen? Because if the nurse does anything else, it's only going to create a bigger scene. If the nurse calls the laboratory, calls the laboratory for the values, then you know what that's doing? That is actually, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? That's actually a positive reinforcement to terrible behavior. If the doctor says, hey, all I gotta do is go up there and start yelling and everybody moves like I want them to, then guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna go there, they're gonna start yelling, making a scene, and they're gonna see the nurses scrambling, trying to get, and it happens all the time. Nurses, they get nervous, they start, okay, well, whatever you want me to do, doctor, whatever, I'll do it. I'll call them, I'll go down there, I'll run. And so the doctors never learn that that's not appropriate. They only learn that, hey, if I am loud and obnoxious, I can get the nurses to do whatever I want. And so it doesn't build a good interpersonal relationship. And you as a new nurse, you have to understand that you are there to work with the doctors. You're there to certainly, you take orders from them, but you're not their slaves, all right? And you don't have to be demoralized or demeaned as a nurse at all, ever. So stepping the healthcare provider into the office and saying, you know what, I just really wanted to remove you from public view because your behavior was causing a very big disruption in the nurse's station. And, the charge nurse should be able to have that kind of conversation with the doctor, all right? And so that's what I want to have as an expectation for you guys as well, that when people are acting inappropriate, you don't get rewarded. You don't get rewarded for being inappropriate and being rude. In my hospital, you wouldn't anyways. So that's the correct answer for that. All right, let's try it again. Let's try one more again, shall we? Okay, and let's see here. Here's the next one. All right, let's make it big. Here we go. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is our question. Question number 5 says this: the client tells the nurse, I'm having surgery on my right knee. I'm having surgery on my right knee. However, the operative permit is for surgery on the left knee. Okay? Which action should the nurse implement first? Which action should the nurse implement first? Is it going to be number 1, contact the surgeon to discuss the discrepancy? Okay. Is it going to be 2, notify the surgical team and assistants? Okay. 3, initiate the timeout procedure? Or 4, clarify the correct procedure with the client? Ooh, this is a good one because I bet you guys have never been in this situation before. I bet you guys have never been in this situation before. So what do you do? What do you do if this happens to you? All right, you're there. The client says, whew, I'm so glad I'm having surgery on my right knee. It's killing me. All right. However, the permit says the surgery is on the left knee. Which action should the nurse take first? All right. Contact the surgeon, notify the surgical team and assistants. 3, initiate the timeout procedure. Or 4, clarify the correct procedure with the client. Clarify that thing with the client now. All right, let me tell you guys this is critical. If you don't get this one right, definitely you're gonna have to spend some time, all right? Well, if you have the virtual trainer, you'll be okay. But listen, let me tell you this. The correct answer is actually number 3, the timeout procedure. Okay? According to Joint Commission, you guys know them. When there is any kind of discrepancy about a surgical procedure, all right, it is the first thing that the nurse or anybody really on that surgical team should know to do is call a timeout, okay? And I'm putting this on here for a reason for you guys that are taking NCLEX in 2020 coming up. You need to know this, all right? And so I'm gonna just go a little bit into it a little bit more here. Timeout, all right? Until the surgery is clarified, until clarification is obtained. So this is the first thing before leaving to call the doctor, right? Because while you're trying to call the doctor, that patient could be sent back to surgery, all right? So the first thing the nurse should do is initiate timeout. And then here's some information here about what the timeout is, all right? When do you do it? During the timeout, the team members agree at a minimum on the following: correct patient identity, correct site, procedure to be done. All right. So even if a patient has more than one procedure, you have to do timeouts, all right, for each procedure that is performed. And there is documentation on what needs to be documented as well. Now, there was a whole article that I found that was super helpful about the timeout procedures for those of you who weren't familiar with it. And guess what I did? I put it in the virtual trainer. So if you have the VT, you know what you need to do? You need to mosey on down to your file vault. File vault is right next to the calendar, and guess what you're going to see under the REMAR drug cards and the REMAR practice questions? You're going to see that timeout surgery document for NCLEX, and you guys can thank me later on that. But actually, when you look at that, and again, that's under your file vault, under NCLEX resources. When you look at that article, you're going to see like when the timeout should be done, what it is, and all those things. So it will be really, really helpful for you guys. And again, that's one of the super awesome benefits of the virtual trainer, is that I can just pop up information for you all. Now, another thing about the virtual trainer is that when I have a document there posted for you, I don't post documents there continuously all the time. I'm really just making sure that what I provide in the VT is going to be super helpful for you to study, for those of you who are testing. So I just hope you really enjoy it. Also, don't forget, guys, I am having the NCLEX Masterclass in Orlando, Florida. I have the details for you right there. It is Sunday, April 19th. Sunday, April 19th from 2 to 6 p.m. You can sign up for it at remarnurse.com/Florida. Okay, so we are going to get into passing NCLEX this year. I mean, the goal is that everybody passes NCLEX. Everybody passes NCLEX. And so that's why we have the virtual trainer sale going on right now, guys. $169, everything you need to pass your NCLEX exam. All right. Hey, our Monday motivation, don't fall into the hole again. This was for me personally. So I'm going to just ask you guys this. What does it feel like to fall into a hole? Oh my goodness. Has this ever happened to you guys? Have you ever fallen? Have you ever tripped up and fell into something and you're like, oh my goodness? Or, I don't know, I could be wrong, but have you ever felt like, have you just ever felt like, how did I get here? That's what falling into a hole is like to me. Like, even if you literally don't fall into a hole, there are instances where you get into situations and you feel really lost, you feel lonely, you feel, anxious and scared, and it almost feels like, the room is closing in on you. Sometimes people feel like this when they're taking NCLEX. After they get through like 3 or 4 questions, they realize, man, this test is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. I feel like I am without support. I feel like I'm falling. I feel like, impending doom, like, like that fall is a long way down. And so there's a lesson in it. There's absolutely a lesson in it, because for most of us, when we get into these kind of situations, we have made a mistake somewhere. There's somewhere where our actions have actually led us to that place. We failed to do something that we should have done. And so you can feel foolish, you can feel sad as you're falling, as you're in a situation you're not supposed to be in. And you definitely understand, okay, this was a big mistake. And whatever that is for you. I mean, my falling into a hole right now is totally different from what you may be feeling. But the principles are the same, all right? Anytime that we make a mistake, we have to look at it as a learning opportunity. We have to look at it as a learning opportunity so that the mistake that we make, we don't recommit it. You know, we're not recommitting it, and we're not falling into the same holes over and over and over again in our lives. All right. We're not repeatedly in the same situations. So, you know, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting to look over your life and realize that, I'm going through the same struggles because I haven't learned the lesson the last struggle was trying to teach me. And so I'm being, you know, and God does this, you know, He'll have you walk around the wilderness for 40 years. Just because you have not learned the lesson. And so, you know, for this year, as we are moving towards our goals, we have to understand that the mistakes of last year cannot carry into this year. The mistakes of yesterday cannot be repeated today. All right. And this is our Monday motivation. Like, some of the things that we are doing are blatantly wrong. Okay, they yield no fruit in our lives. They are, they waste time, they waste energy, and they have no longer become learning experiences. They become life, they become like our buddies that we learn to live with, you know, and we have to stop that. We have to stop it. So this is the week where we're not doing dumb things. We're not repeating things that we know don't work. And you are going to have to take a really good evaluation of what that is in your life and cut it out and make the effort to say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. It's not helping me. I don't feel good when I do it. I don't really feel good after I do it. You know, I'm just tired of it, okay? I'm tired of falling into the same hole. And some of us, we need to get to that point immediately if we want to see the results, because, you know, this is the truth about NCLEX. This is the truth about NCLEX, and it's this, all right? Each year, 50,000 students take NCLEX as repeat test takers. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, all right? And so that means that all of these people have already made mistakes when it comes to taking NCLEX. And so they're going back, hopefully not having made those same mistakes, right? Not having made those same mistakes. But you guys saw the statistics. When you're a repeat test taker, your chances of passing NCLEX are even lower, okay? And I found that over the years that I've been preparing students for NCLEX, the difference maker are those who had made a radical change from the previous time that they studied, all right? Those who have done something totally different. Those who have identified the problems of anxiety, identified the problems of, you know, second guessing themselves, and have broken those bad habits. Those who have identified the problem of, I just didn't know it. I just didn't have the content. Or I overstudied doing questions and not enough reading. Or, you know, I knew the content, but I didn't apply it correctly. So, you know, you really have to understand that it's your responsibility when you go take NCLEX. Nobody else is there for you. Nobody else is checking you before you take that exam, all right? And so all the resources that you can have available to help you stay accountable are going to work, all right? Because sometimes the accountability has to come from outside of ourselves. It's just the truth of the matter. So, you guys, this week, we don't want to fall into the same hole. We want to make sure that our mistakes are learning opportunities. It's not bad to make a mistake, all right? That's human. We're all making mistakes. What's bad is when we don't learn from those mistakes and we make them over and over again. That's what we don't want to do, okay? So this year, we're doing it different. We really are. We're doing it different by staying together as a family. And hey, we have nurses who are making some amazing strides in their NCLEX studying, and I just want to share them with you guys.
Hi, Remar family. My name is Eddie, and I'm a Texas LVN, because in certain states we call it vocational nursing, and in the other parts of the states we call it practical nursing. So I just want to do my comparison video from the old program, which would be the the Remar that has like the little calendar, the DVD package, to the VT. I definitely wanted to say that they're both amazing, and whether you can follow the calendar, because this one has it, and I kind of like the new VT as well. It has kind of like what you're supposed to be doing in every day, what we, put our time into. So I will say that the virtual trainer is just like having Regina there. So I definitely like that, and that aspect that you can kind of like take it at your own pace, the login, kind of knowing how to favorite your videos. And I definitely do like the virtual trainer a little better, because the technology sometimes would have Firefox and get kind of like geeky out, nerd out with, Firefox and Chrome. So the virtual trainer, you just pretty much have it at your hand. So I definitely will recommend, our Remar nurses that do want to get it. I would definitely say it's worth the investment, and Regina is still being such a sweetheart, an angel, and kind of offering us that $169 price. I'm not sure if it's still offered, but the Love Your Content was a very good kind of review where we kind of went over and talked about, the disease processes. And I definitely just wanted to say hello, do the comparison video, and I'm in the virtual trainer, so y'all could message me, because I think that's how we talk with each other, is to like if we have questions. But I would highly recommend that, and I definitely do want to let everybody know that I am part of the retester group. So I guess maybe when I go to boards, it's kind of like just processing the information, and I do have confidence in like when I'm answering the questions, but for whatever reason the Lord is saying, hey, hold up son, I need you to take a little bit more time. So I'm in it with Remar, in it with the Lord and my faith, and no matter what happens, don't give up, because a lot of the times when you do kind of go to boards and we don't feel good necessarily, but it is kind of nice to see people that haven't been successful, that don't give up, and definitely just kind of persevere through it all. So definitely let's keep on encouraging each other for the Motivational Monday, and just reaching out to the Remar family through email. But I would highly recommend, your little kind of like the virtual trainer. What I like to do also whenever I'm kind of studying, I have little notes. So when we were talking about like the cranial nerves kind of in this section, I do a lot of highlighting. I also, to help really bring out the information, I'll kind of, like make a little figure, and on the bottom, the handwriting just kind of talks about, kind of what was in quick facts to bring it out. I'm a very visual and colorful learner, so I definitely hope at boards we can kind of hear Regina's voice and kind of guiding us. But I feel that, the Lord will guide each and every one of us on our path, and I wish you all the best of luck. And I'm off social media, so I'll have to log in, because I deleted off my phone and everything. But wishing everybody many blessings with the studying, and I will see y'all for Motivational Monday. And virtual trainer is a 2 thumbs up. My other thumb is over there. And good luck everybody going to boards and just being persistent. And our time is coming, our testimony is coming. We just have to be faithful. And whether it's your first time, your 3rd attempt, your 10th attempt, your 20th attempt, at the boards, never give up and believe in yourself. God bless you all.
I just love that. I mean, I love to see the grind. Some guys, I know you guys feel like you're alone in this, but when you see videos like that, people in their work clothes, people with the books, taking all these copious notes inside of quick facts and in their VT workbooks and making diagrams and just grinding. That's what the grind looks like. And, this can be the most challenging thing in your life right now. I know passing NCLEX is a huge mountain that you have to climb. But no, here we have so many people that are every day digging in and going up the mountain. And we have so many people who've already been over the mountain and saying, hey, I did it, you can do it. And so this is such a special community. This is such a special place to be, because we are made up of real people, and nobody gets paid around here to say these things, to come on. Future nurse Eddie did not get paid to send me that video at all right? And so I want you guys to understand that your life is tough, but guess what? You are tougher. You are you are smarter, you work harder, you can pass NCLEX. There is no reason why you can't pass NCLEX, because you already did the hard work. Getting into nursing school, getting through nursing school. Nothing's harder than that. Nothing. Many of people, they cannot make it through nursing school because it's so tough, and you guys have done it already. All you need to do is take one more test. And I'm telling you guys, when you get that nursing license, oh, it feels so good. All right. So let me help you get there. It is my pleasure. I can't wait to see the testimonial videos, and I love studying with you guys. It is my absolute pleasure. We have everything you need to pass NCLEX with the virtual trainer, remarnurse.com. Hey, don't forget our player partners. We have Worldwide Health Staff Solutions, and they help nurses who are studying outside of the U.S. Listen, these guys are phenomenal. Go ahead. If you're in Dubai, if you're in the Philippines, if you're in Africa, listen, wherever you are studying outside of the U.S., go to the website, www.healthstaff.org. Tell them Remar sent you, and it will be such a great experience for you. Trust me. Hey, you guys, you know what? Today is actually a very special day. It is my birthday, and we are continuing on with Monday Motivation because no matter what day of the year it is, my birthday, your birthday, anybody's birthday, we still need to stay on the grind, making sure that you guys have what you need to pass NCLEX. So it is a sincere pleasure that you guys spent this time with me. And don't forget, I love you guys so much. I don't say it enough, but I really, truly do. You guys inspire me to do bigger and better things all the time. Remember, 2020, this is our year. Hey,